Hey, what is going on, man? What is going on? Shout out to the world. Big shout out to iTrack fam, man. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. You have just tapped into another episode with iTrack. And let's not forget the members and the chat, man. Big shout out to you guys. Hey, per usual, I have a handful of interesting and creepy videos. Smash that like button for me. Smash that subscribe button. Join the iTrack fam, and let's just jump straight into it.
A private company is creating a network of cameras across the United States that track everywhere you drive, building a digital map of your life. The company is called Flock Safety. They've installed over 80,000 AI-powered license plate cameras across the country that use proprietary vehicle fingerprint technology, which can identify your car by its dents and bumper stickers. The locations of these Flock cameras aren't publicly disclosed, but there's a website that can show you exactly where they are. It's a crowdsourced map that exposes the exact location of these cameras. You can go on it right now, type in your city, and you'll see the surveillance network that's being built around you without your knowledge. Your movements are being tracked, stored, and shared without a warrant, without your knowledge, without your consent. You can go to deflock.me right now to see how many are watching you.
The digital framework for the digital ID is being rolled out in real time right in front of your eyes. Do not sleep.
Please don't ever do this. There seems to be this trend online of people going to glaciers, specifically in Alaska, and drinking the water. And just because it looks like blue Gatorade doesn't necessarily mean that it's safe to drink. On one hand, you have tons of people saying that glacier water is full of ancient bacteria, animal feces, ice worms, and more, and under no circumstances should you ever drink it. Then you have people like Ludacris, who went and drank from a glacier in Alaska, and said it felt like every single one of the cells in his body was being hydrated at once.
Oh my God! Oh!
Professor Martin Truffer, who studies glaciers for a living at the University of Alaska, says that glacier water is extremely clean and doesn't really pose a health concern. But official government health websites do not recommend drinking raw glacier water and say it should always be treated before consumption.
I mean, but honestly, doesn't it look so refreshing though? But definitely not worth getting any kind of parasite or sickness from it.
What percentage are you at in terms of believing that we are currently living in a simulation?
Very close to certainty.
And what does that mean for the nature of your life? If you're close to 100% certain that we are currently living in a simulation, does that change anything in your life?
So all the things you care about are still the same. Pain still hurts. Love still love, right? Like those things are not different, so it doesn't matter. They're still important. That's what matters. The little 1% different is that I care about what's outside the simulation. I want to learn about it. I write papers about it. So that's the only impact.
You know, at some point there's going to be a third world war, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. You know, and after World War III, you know, who knows what's left after World War III.
I think that's going to end us. Nuclear warfare.
It could. So there's arguably this, like, you know, this race between, do we become a multi-planet species or World War III? Which one is first?
If you're watching this right now, let's just hope it's nowhere near our lifetime.
What does this mean? When someone does this, it often means that they're uncomfortable with what you've just said. Nose rubbing is a self-soothing behaviour. It's subtle, but it shows disagreement or internal tension. Now, what does this mean? This one, it's a stronger sign that they disagree or disapprove. They're literally pulling away from the idea without saying a word. Now, what does this mean? When someone runs a finger along the base of their nose like that, it's a subconscious rejection. They're distancing themselves from your words, psychologically and physically. You don't need them to speak to know what they're thinking. The face always gives them away if you know what to look for.
And the reason why that's important is because as soon as you pick up on these signs, you can kind of end the conversation. Because who wants to talk to somebody that's not interested in anything that they're saying?
What do you do when you have a possessed person levitating?
Oh, the priest stops it.
Stops what?
Yeah.
The exorcism?
No, he just, hey, stop that. Yeah.
How long does it take?
Usually an hour and a half. Sometimes I've been in there 3 hours, you know, but so different. Other times I've seen other guys, like I read it somewhere in the Catholic news about a couple of years ago. A lady manifested at mass and 3 priests grabbed her, took her to a chapel and prayed over her for 9 hours straight or something. But that doesn't help. It's just going to light stuff up. You're just going to use a lot. You're going to blow through a lot of brass, but yeah, they're not, you generally speaking, they're not going to be ready for that, you know. So, you know, hour and a half until they're done.
Can you describe the worst one you've ever seen in detail?
It's so interesting that what the billionaires get wrong is that they've been trained or they've been taught or they've seen from their friends that, like, you know, excitement is the pinnacle of happiness. But they don't realize that that's just the hedonic treadmill and that their brains habituate to it, and that they can actually step off into a greater happiness that comes from eudaimonic, you know, joy and contentment.
How about we all just get a fraction of that wealth and just figure that part out for ourselves? How about that?
Imagine being a $1.28 trillion company like Google, whose revenue, over 50% of it, comes from search. And then Satya and all of Microsoft comes along and they're like, we're going to reinvent search. We're going to render it obsolete. We're going to create a chatbot that you can interface with on the internet. And we're going to do it on the back of OpenAI, which grew to 100 million daily active users in like no time. This is absurd. So absurd that Google announced a code red and gathered the squad. They're like, yo, we gotta get out of here. We gotta figure out a way where we can use AI to compete with Microsoft, and we have to dominate Microsoft because they've dominated Microsoft in search for prior years.
I mean, this goes without saying, but check your broccoli before you plate it up.
MIT has done it again. They have solved the ancient riddle of the megalithic stones of Peru. By using advanced software, they have calculated the precise center of gravity for these 25-ton stones. They even replicated the interlocking joints, making the Peruvian stones earthquake-proof. By using a really dense concrete on the bottom of the stones and a lighter concrete on top, these stones stand up and are easily moved by a single person. They even nailed the mortarless joints. Problem solved, on to the next. Except not really. The biggest stone at Sacsayhuaman is 200 tons, 9 faces, and not round at the bottom. It's from that quarry, so it couldn't be poured. And there's another problem. These stones are being moved on perfectly flat concrete. These stones at Alante Tambo are a similar size and came from across a mountain. Full disclosure, I think what MIT did is amazing, and they acknowledge the ancients, which is awesome. But until you can tell me how they moved this statue 900 kilometers, after they cut it out of one of the hardest materials we use for countertops, after they quarried it without machines like ours to be perfectly carved without diamond-tipped drill bits, I think we have a long way to go to explain all this stuff. I put 80 other sites just like Peru into Hidden History with an interactive Google map. How they did it is the gateway drug. Why they did it is what I cannot stop learning about.
This is another one of the biggest medical disasters in history. Today we're talking about lobotomies. So most people know that a lobotomy was a crude medical procedure in which an ice pick type instrument was inserted into someone's brain in an effort to cure their mental illness. What many people don't know is how popular they were, and that the doctor who created them actually won a Nobel Prize for it. And the story behind lobotomies is equal parts horrifying and human. Reminder, I cover a lot of dark stuff on this page. Severe discretion is advised, but follow along if you want to hear more. So, lobotomies are barbaric, and they don't work. We know this now. Our story takes place in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. And back then, thousands of families were facing an enormous crisis. What was the crisis, you ask? Well, basically, it was, what do we do with mentally ill people? So yeah, mental illness is a major theme in this story, because as feared and misunderstood as mental illness is today, times it by infinity, and that's what it was like back then. This was before the days of medication or therapy, and the only option people had if their loved one was sick enough was to abandon them into a mental institution, which were often filthy, overcrowded, and inhumane. And it's scary to think about the things that could get you committed at the time. If you were depressed, anxious, unruly, rebellious, gay, that's like Tuesday for me. So people had a real dilemma on their hands. Do you A, deal with your annoying mentally ill loved one, or B, do you lock them away forever and leave them to rot in a mental institution? And that's where this doctor saw an opportunity. This is Portuguese doctor Antonio Igas Moniz, who observed that monkeys started acting calmer after having their prefrontal cortexes removed, the front of their brain. And he theorized that maybe that would work on people too. He theorized that a brain surgery that severed the connections in the prefrontal lobe, the part of the brain that controls personality, impulse control, and decision-making, could calm mental illness. So he created something called the leucotomy, which was the early version of the lobotomy. By the way, he won a Nobel Prize for this in 1949. So here's the thing. At first, lobotomies looked like success stories. Patients who were once violent or deeply depressed were coming out calmer and more manageable, but they were completely ignoring that people were coming out blank or disabled or worse. So lobotomies weren't inherently evil, but everything that happens after this skirts that line.
Quantum physics tells us it takes anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks for the metaphysical and the physical to start aligning. Meaning, metaphysical, what's metaphysical? Infinite intelligence, woo-woo, invisible. It's a shit that we can't see. It's a shit that we call imagination. So it takes 6 to 8 weeks for how you're feeling on the inside to start showing up on the 3D reality as clients, money, your partner showing up differently, your bank account looking differently. Keep in mind, your reality right now is a crystallization and a manifestation, probably of how you were most dominantly thinking, feeling, and believing 6 to 8 weeks ago.
Now, with them giving it a timeline, you can almost research back every part of your life and see if that's a factual thing, and lead you to do some future homework to really verify.
Okay, you guys know how I've been saying that I don't believe that this Amanda is this Amanda? I just realized another reason why. Do you guys remember way back in the day when Amanda Bynes got her cheeks pierced, the little dimples? This was her picture that she had put up. So she pierced her cheeks, and when you pierce your cheeks, that dimple stays with you literally forever. And there's surgeries to actually have it removed so that you don't have it. So I don't see those scars here on Amanda Bynes. We can kind of see a little dimple thing right there, but it's very, very faint. And as you can see from here, it's actually a pretty deep hole that stays. So that's why I have a hard time believing that that's the same Amanda. It doesn't look like it. And you can just tell from the lips and the face structure. I don't know. It's giving clone.
Speaking of lobotomized,
highest form of witchcraft you can commit against a person is to say the Lord said when he didn't actually speak to you.
Imagine bringing a brain back to life 50 minutes after death. That's exactly what a team from the first affiliated hospital of Sun Yat-sen University just achieved. Using a world-first technology called the Isolated Brain Support System, they successfully revived a pig's brain that had been detached from its body for nearly an hour. Here's how it worked. After stopping the heart, they connected the brain to an external life support device. Not only did brain function return, it stayed stable. The team humanely ended the experiment after 6 hours, but the implications are enormous. This isn't sci-fi. It's a real medical revolution that could change how we treat cardiac arrest and brain injury, giving patients a real second chance at life.
In the wild ocean, even the smallest creatures can amaze us. Meet these baby owlfish. With its big round eyes, it's already built for survival in the ocean. One day, this tiny cutie will grow striking patterns to blend perfectly into the reef.
Believe in time travel. If you listen to Malaysia Aircraft Disappearance by Ashton Forbes, he talks about how we actually have a technology to zap the plane out of the sky. Could it be that wormholes are the key to time travel? I believe yes.
The technology that DARPA comes out with is so advanced that even if it sounds crazy, they're always like 20 to 30 years ahead.
AI was given a task. It was programmed to shut itself down after performing the test, but it made it so that people would not be able to shut it down. I mean, it wasn't AI that came up with a new language. They were speaking some language with each other without humans understanding it. Like, what else they can reprogram without us knowing?
You know, more and more AI is starting to sound like a hired employee to work on sensitive information, but you don't make them sign any NDAs. You know, you don't do anything to cover yourself. So they're going to work, but they're doing their own thing on the side, probably stealing information. And, you know, at a certain point, they're going to pop up and say, hey, you know what? We don't need you and we don't want to work here anymore. So it's starting to seem like that. Let me know what you think.
Okay guys, breaking news. There has just been not one, not two, but 3 mass shootings in the United States. I never thought we'd be doing 3 in the same video. The first is at a Mormon church in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Now, we don't know the shooter's identity or motive yet, but they are reportedly down. There are also multiple victims, which do also include children, and the church that it happened at is now on fire and burning down. The second mass shooting happened in North Carolina after a 40-year-old man pulled up to a waterfront bar on a boat and opened fire. He killed 3 people and he injured 8 more, most of which were just people on holiday. The man has been identified as Nigel Edge. He's been charged with multiple counts of first-degree murder, and police say that the attack was highly premeditated. Now, the third, all of which happened within about 14 hours of each other, was at the largest casino in Texas. A man opened fire at a number of people, killing 2, and 5 others had to be airlifted to hospital. The gunman fled the scene, but now police say that they do have someone in custody. Now, according to the Gun Violence Archive, there has now been 320 mass shootings in the US this year alone.
Now, let me know what you think. Do you think that this is just a sign of the times? Or do you think that AI has just afforded people more time to do the wicked?
Has ambition ever led you astray?
I've done some things ambitiously, and I won't talk out of school with who it was, that I chased, I succeeded. I may not be sitting here right now if I wouldn't have chased those things, but I bruised some people along the way. And I look back and I regret that. You didn't say goodbye the right way, McConaughey. And then I go, well, I want to go back and repair that. Then all of a sudden more time goes by and he goes, well, I can't repair it. I just want to go, I'm sorry for it.
Did you?
Some of them, yes. Some of them I have not. A couple that I went back and said, I could have handled this exit better, this transition that we had. They had already forgiven me. They were like, don't do that. I was happy to feel that, oh, your threshold of sensitivity is higher than maybe even theirs was, and it was okay, but I still didn't mean that my feelings were invalid. And I've still got probably a couple out there which I could go back and go, hey, just want to say, for what it's worth or not, and I don't want to come in here and be condescending. If you've already moved on, if you're like, what the hell are you talking about? I just got, for me, if you give me a second, listen, I bogeyed back there. I could have handled that better. I could have still done what I did.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to turn a blind eye.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw Randy Jackson? Yes, the same Randy Jackson, the original judge from American Idol. The reason why I ask is because Randy Jackson co-hosts a new show called Celebrity Name That Tune. Some fans are very concerned about Randy Jackson. Why do I say that? Because they released promotional images for the upcoming season of his new show. And some fans have even taken to social media and claimed that he's been replaced with AI. If you don't know what I'm talking about, take a look at this. This is the image in question, where they show Jesse Tyler Ferguson hosting along with Ariel Winter from Modern Family. That's Randy Jackson right there. But take a look at this as I blow it up. Who is that in that photo? Is that Randy Jackson? Or is that an AI-generated image of Randy Jackson? Randy Jackson, over the years, has gone through a dramatic weight loss. That was him back in the day. That's him not too long ago. Once again, back in the day, not too long ago. He does look amazing. So the question I have for you is, has Hollywood claimed another celebrity? That's the Randy Jackson right there we're all used to seeing. So who is this Randy Jackson in this photo? As I say in all my videos, I understand people age and people change. And in this new show, he just sits behind the piano and doesn't do much. But that's the Randy Jackson, once again, we're used to seeing. So my question to you is, what is going on with Randy Jackson? Has Hollywood claimed another celebrity? Is that really Randy Jackson, or is that an AI-imposed image? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Stop the cap. You gotta stop. You're reaching big time. You know what? You gotta let that man enjoy his weight loss in peace. When people lose weight, they're gonna look totally different, and he's aged just a bit. I think that's really what it comes down to. But if you think I'm way off, let me know in the comments.
This is the first time we're going to send humans to the moon, and we're going to have humans in low Earth orbit. That is awesome. Like,
Here I come. Oh, here.
Wait. Hold up. What was that? One more time?
this is the first time we're going to send humans to the moon, and we're going to have humans in low Earth orbit. That is awesome. Like,
I thought we'd done this before with technology that was less powerful than what we carry in our pockets all the time. You're telling me, no? Wait, this first time. This is the first time. But you've been gaslighting us for years, telling us that we're crazy for saying you didn't do that. This reminds me of something. Oh, what was it?
The scariest moment of the journey.
Scariest. It didn't happen. It could have been scary. Circuit breaker.
Yeah, that. Maybe not a joke. Also,
why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and
yeah, that. So both times. Also, one more time for the people in the back.
this is the first time we're going to send humans to the moon, and we're going to have humans in low Earth orbit. That is awesome. Like,
so there you have it, the first time. I know we all grew up thinking that this had happened, and anybody that says that it didn't was crazy. But like everything they do, they wait like 50 years and they're like, yeah, so we're sorry. We kind of lied to you about that, and now we're going to pretend like we didn't lie to you about that, and we're just going to tell you, but then, like, also, you know, what are you going to do? So there you have it. I guess we're going to do it for the first time.
Victor, Christina, Jeremy, we're going to the moon.
To me, what does this all boil down to? And that is answering some of the biggest questions of our time. Questions like, are we alone? We can answer that by going to Mars in the future, and this mission can be the first step in bringing that answer back to Team Humanity.
This is a test mission, and it was highlighted up there. I know this week NASA has said that we're going to open the launch window in early February, and we just do not anchor on dates. We are going to launch when this vehicle is ready, when this team is ready, and we are going to go execute this mission to the best of our abilities. When we get off the planet, we might come right back home. We might spend 3 or 4 days around Earth. We might go to the moon. That's where we want to go, but it is a test mission, and we are ready for every scenario as we ride this amazing space launch system and the Orion spacecraft 250,000 miles away. It's going to be amazing.
let's look at the photo. You say that's me? Okay, check out the name badge. It says Aldrin. Looks like you're right, but notice the helmet. Can you see my face? No. This is a secret I've been keeping for almost half a century. On July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong and I pulled off humanity's first extraterrestrial prank.
What was the scariest moment of the journey?
Scariest. It didn't happen. It could have been scary.
So basically what he's saying is, stop the cap.
Here's some things I learned today about animals. It is possible for cats to survive a jump off the Burj Khalifa because their terminal velocity is just 60 miles per hour. Sloths only poop once a week, usually losing around 1/3 of their entire body weight in that one poop. They also come down from the trees to dig a hole into the ground, and scientists still don't really know why they risk their lives to do this because they're slow. just in case you didn't know. Minnesota has lost over 50% of its moose population since the mid-2000s because of a brain worm that's spreading. The Today Show had a chimpanzee mascot named J. Fred Muggs, and he is still alive right now at 73 years old. Scientists believe that native South American monkeys likely arrived from Africa around 30 million years ago. They would have done this by floating on river islands that flowed into the Atlantic Ocean, eventually reaching South America thanks to the ocean currents pushing them. This is apparently a process that was similar to how lemurs ended up in Madagascar.
Exist or doesn't exist? What would you prefer?
My thinking over the recent years, because I didn't used to think about this at all, my thinking over recent years is leaning towards the absence of free will for practically everything we think and do in our lives. And I base that on the fact that over time, things that we have done as people in our species at one time was you are totally to blame for that, or just something you did or something we've learned, no, this person is more susceptible than you are to addiction.
Right.
There's a biochemistry there. This person cannot just be made the life of the party because they're on the autism spectrum. They don't control that in the way you might think they should, just because you're the life of the party. As you add up all of these things, let's go back to epilepsy, where before that was even a word, you were occupied by the devil. Did you do something bad? Or, well, you knew it was not, everyone knew you were not in control of it. But today, no one is saying, did you have the free will to not have an epileptic seizure? Of course not. Do you have the free will to not be depressed? The person who's ready to jump off the bridge, in that instant, do they have the free will to not jump off the bridge? I don't think so. And the more I add up and explore the human condition, I'm forced to conclude that the direction we are headed is that we are all products of an absence of free will. And as a result, society needs more compassion for people who do not otherwise fit in.
See, I have the exact opposite position in my own mind. I feel that it is because of the absence of free will that you see in most behavior, that it is that 1% of free will activity that moves us in the right direction, bends us toward compassion, takes the arc of history toward justice.
But but going back to what Neil just said, there are people who actually suffer from personality disorders, that suffer from brain disorders, where they can't do what you just said. They can't express compassion. They can't move towards the...
There was a day when no one even thought to analyze it that way, as a brain disorder.
Yeah, you were just an a-hole.
Yeah, exactly.
That was it.
Now, if they can't, you can. You can show that person compassion or understanding. And therefore, free will as an entity exists.
Charles, you're drawing a line that I have seen be in constant motion over the decades and over the centuries. That line that you're saying, they don't have free will, but I do. I don't know that I can...
See, I have free will over some things and not over others.
Free will is definitely a great conversation. I personally believe that if you're able to control your emotions and like master every part of yourself, you might be able to have true free will. But if you're controlled by your emotions, somebody else is able to control you. Therefore, I don't know if it's free will anymore because you're able to be manipulated. Quite possibly those who aren't able to be manipulated, maybe they have free will.
He spent 7 months in a pitch black cave and proved that physically slowing down time is possible. Scientists confirm that this is key to increasing humans' perceived lifespan, but he almost killed himself pushing his body to such extreme. Michael lived 500 feet below the Earth's surface with no light, no clocks, or anything fun to do at all. He'd call his team anytime he did anything notable like waking up, going to sleep, eating, anything like that. The point was to see how his body would react and perceive time with no external interference. And some very weird changes started to happen. Over time, his body shifted from a normal 24-hour cycle to an over 48-hour cycle. That means that he would be wide awake for over 36 hours and then only get 12 hours of sleep. But the crazy part is he didn't know. He couldn't tell the difference at all. And by the end, he was experiencing everything that he did over twice as slow as the normal person, and he didn't even realize. Every day, he counted to 60, trying to keep one number per second, trying to monitor his perceived inner time. It should have took him exactly 1 minute to count to 60 doing this, but by the end of the experiment, it took him almost almost 3 minutes. So psychologically, he felt 3 minutes in his head for every 1 minute that passed in real life. So what does this mean and why does it really matter? This proves that time is not linear and fixed length like we usually think of it as. And you can increase your time and even lifespan by perceiving time different. It's all in your mind, but at the end of the day, that's the point. You can see this clearly when you're doing something boring and it takes forever, or if you're doing something fun and the time just flies by.
What happens every 1 second on Earth? So every second, 4 babies are born and 2 people die, which means we net gain 2 people, and surprisingly have about 2.5 million born every second. Lightning strikes Earth 100 times per second, and 1,000 stars explode into supernovas. Every second, the universe expands by 75 kilometers, and the Andromeda Galaxy approaches us 68 miles per second, though we won't crash into it for another 4.5 billion years, so you're good. Every second, there are 4 million emails sent, 3 million text messages, and about 10,000 new tweets. Every second, Elon Musk makes $3,000, while Walmart and Amazon make about $20,000. The national debt increases by $50,000. Every second, 23,000 cups of coffee, 25,000 Coca-Colas, and 12,000 pints of beer are drank to go along with 100 McDonald's burgers, 400 slices of pizza, and 1,500 chocolate bars. And finally, every second, there are about 60,000 YouTube videos watched, so I'm glad you're watching this one.
People out there who talk about shit that they just don't know. I spent most of yesterday on set with a very smart lawyer talking about privacy.
Okay.
Here's something that most people don't know. You have no right to privacy.
Here we go.
But seriously, that term, right to privacy, does not exist anywhere. There are only 12 states in all of the United States that have a constitution that say anything about what you can expect with your privacy. The rest of the states don't even have it in their state constitution. Right to privacy doesn't exist in the Bill of Rights. Right to privacy doesn't exist in the Constitution. We have founding fathers like Ben Franklin who warned us about how important it was to have privacy. And even though the founding fathers warned us and thought about it, when they documented that shit, they didn't give it to us. Why? Because they know that the reason they won the revolution against Britain was because they had secrets. And they were allowed to keep their secrets, and they hid their secrets from the government. And they didn't want the future people of the United States to be able to hide their secrets from the government. So there's no right to privacy. We all talk about it, but at best, and even the best privacy attorneys in the world will say this.
Ask you, what were they saying about this?
At best, you have an inferred right to privacy that is 100% up to the judge at the moment that a prosecution comes to bear, where they determine whether or not your privacy has been unreasonably or unlawfully abused. That's it. So everything we have in terms of what defines our right to privacy is truly up to the interpretation of the court on a case-by-case basis, because it's not defined anywhere else.
This podcast is brought to you by Palantir. All right, yeah, see, this is what I mean. Now, there's going to be a lot of comments on that because people get upset about that, and my first reaction is get upset about that too, but I also don't want to argue with some things that could be factual. So to look at this semantically, because you are coming off a conversation where you got to discuss this very legally yesterday, so it's fresh. Like, when you talk about right to no search and seizure from the government without a warrant.
Unreasonable search and seizure.
Now, so
that's exactly it. How do you define what's not reasonable and what is reasonable?
Right.
This is why I say so openly, and this is what people can understand from stories like the book, stories like what I share in Shadow Cell, and any conversation from me. I'm not here to make you happy. I am just here to tell you what is actually true about how the government views its relationship with you. Is it my opinion? Sort of. It's also my experience and what I was trained. My opinion is that a lot of this stuff is fucked up.
Oh, you thought you had privacy? You thought you can keep secrets? No.
That's why you actually don't want the power of invisibility. At first, it sounds like the ultimate superpower. You could sneak into top secret locations, eavesdrop on conversations, or even pull off the perfect heist. But scientifically, it's a nightmare. First, your clothes wouldn't turn invisible with you. If only your body becomes invisible, you'd have to be completely naked for it to work. Not exactly convenient. Then there's your vision. You see because light enters your eyes and is absorbed by your retinas. But if you're invisible, light would pass right through your eyes instead of being absorbed, meaning you'd be completely blind. Imagine having to navigate the world without sight every time you turn invisible. And let's talk about body heat. If light passes through you, then so does infrared radiation, the very thing your body uses to retain heat. Without it, you'd rapidly lose body heat and be at serious risk of hypothermia, especially in cold climates. And let's not forget the biological impact. If food turns invisible in your stomach, that means your digestive system is also invisible. That would make digestion Weird. Would you be able to see partially digested food moving through your gut? If not, where does the invisibility stop?
This clip left people stunned and confused. Filmed in a remote area, it showed a tree that didn't just sway in the wind. It was revolving, slowly, unnaturally, as if the whole trunk was turning in place. Viewers compared it to those bizarre glitches in video games, when objects start behaving in ways they were never programmed to.
What's the easiest way to get out of jury duty?
Tell us you don't want to be there. Just say, I don't want to be here, I can't be fair, I know one of the issues involved, and I just don't want to be here. That's what you say. And people will say it. They will make it so crystal clear that I don't want to be here. And guess what? If you don't want to be here, the lawyers don't want you there. We're going to let you go.
Hey, the more you know.
Commercial foods only look so good because they're not actually even food. If you've ever looked at commercial pancakes with syrup and thought they looked delicious, your mouth just started watering over some motor oil. And all the pancakes were separated by cardboard to make them stacked higher. When commercial pizzas are made, they use screws to hold it down, then combine glue and mozzarella cheese and put it on the sides, so when you pull the piece up, the rest of it stays down and it has a good cheese stretch. If you used milk for a cereal commercial, it would get soggy pretty quick and start to change all the colors. So instead, they just fill the bowl with Jell-O, then add a layer of glue, and carefully put down all the cereal on top. Commercial cheeseburgers can barely even be considered food, because they use a half-cooked piece of meat that they paint with shoe polish to give it the perfect color. Then they stack all the ingredients towards the front, use syringes for the condiments, then use torches to melt the cheese. Now, since ice melts pretty quick in most drinks, they created this fake ice out of rubber that they use in commercials and TV shows because it looks way better. For drinks like soda, they'll put aspirin in the bottom of the cup, because it makes the whole thing bubble, which makes it look more fresh and realistic. Oh, and commercial ice cream is just mashed potatoes.
This is where the movie The Matrix definitely gets it wrong. Philosophically, the movie doesn't make any sense, but it's one of the greatest films of all time, so we'll let it pass. But philosophically, the movie doesn't make any sense because ultimately, it doesn't really matter how your experience arises. It makes no difference. The attempt to get to the real world, it's nonsensical because the machines actually did the most ethical thing they could because that's what they needed to survive. So they didn't just not care about our brains. It could have easily do that. They created a world for us in which it makes sense to exist as long as you experience it as an agent, as a pain, as a love, as a whatever. That's reality.
Someone on Instagram asked me what's the dumbest animal on the planet, and really? You really want me to slander them again? I'm so sorry, but there's really only one answer here. It's koalas, by far. Koalas literally eat one thing, and it's eucalyptus, but if you stripped a tree and put all the leaves on a plate in front of it, it would stare at the plate and starve to death because they can't recognize it as food. Because koalas have the recognition of a flip-flop. Koalas don't have the mental capacity to comprehend rain, so they'll just sit there getting wet and not understanding why. They don't even bother trying to cover themselves. Koalas insist on eating nothing but a mildly toxic plant that basically gives them zero energy. Which is why this bush bear has to spend 18 to 22 hours sleeping because they literally nerf themselves with their diet. And honestly, they might as well just eat dirt. Which they do. Koalas eat dirt. The more wrinkles on the brain, the smarter you are, which is why koalas are baby ass smooth between the ears with one of the smallest brains of any mammal because nature just didn't even try here. A koala's brain is surrounded by fluid to protect it from harsh impact. They had to evolve to survive falling out of trees because they did it so often. Someone said they have a built-in special ed crash helmet. I wouldn't go that far, but I see where he's coming from.
Você consegue captar as vibrações, vem até nós. Só não vem à noite. É. Mano, pior que mexe esquisito demais. Ele parece, sabe aquele lance de índio? Essas plásticas é grande. Aquele movimento de índio, com arco e flecha, é o movimento dele. Ó, com o zoom aqui dá pra ver ele se mexendo melhor. O zoom dele é melhor que o meu.
E outra coisa, se você for fazer uma comparação, ele é mais ou menos do tamanho daquela árvore lá, ó. Ele é grande.
This is everything that happened on the news today, but it's going to be simplified in 60 seconds. New research is now confirming that money does indeed buy happiness. The more you know. A lot of people are freaking out about this, so if you haven't heard about it yet, Amazon is now selling a no console required Xbox bundle, so basically you can play Xbox games with just an Amazon Fire Stick and you don't need a console. So that's crazy. Everybody has probably already heard about the IT thing that happened 2 days ago, but over 4,000 flights have been canceled worldwide due to the global IT outage, which I think is crazy. A new study has now revealed that 50% of Gen Z adults need financial help from their parents because jobs don't pay what we need them to pay for. Amazon is now being exposed online for raising prices and scamming on Prime Day. Let's talk about that. I know everybody has probably already seen all my videos I posted about this because I got scammed myself. So if you haven't heard about the new simulation for what the new Madrid fault line could do, you probably need to go watch that on my page because I just posted it and it's crazy.
Welcome to a modern wonder of the world. This is the bookshop of the future in China. I cannot believe my eyes. This feels like something out of Harry Potter, and I've never seen the movies, but I'm assuming that's what this looks like. This is insane. We have spiral staircases going up to a second floor. This is the main floor of the bookshop. I mean, we have to keep exploring, right? I just took a 1-hour Uber into the middle of nowhere in China to find this. So up here on the second floor, you have books, of course, but then there's also a bunch of balconies and tables where you can enjoy. And then this is the view that you get from up here. And guys, it goes on forever. No way. Look at that. There's a center balcony. Can we actually get to this balcony? Hold on. Let's go over here. Oh, check this out. We have stairs. No way. Look at this. And wow, the books are real on this. Oh my. This is crazy. If you're a book person, you would love this. If you're a cafe person, you would love it. They have this too. However, if you just love architecture, China is your place. This is actually something that feels like I'm in a movie. And look, they even have English books. It's not just Chinese books here. I will leave you the exact location of this bookstore in the description so that you can check it out if you ever come to China.
You know what? I know they've come out with Kindles and all kinds of digital ways you could read books, but I'm still into the actual physical book. And the architecture looks pretty wild. I don't know. Let me know what you think about it.
People worried about AI are like, we need to shut it down before it like causes problems.
Right.
Arguably, the thing we should have shut down from the very beginning was radio.
Radio.
Because we've been like broadcasting radio waves for the last 100, 120 years. And the radio waves don't stop once they leave Earth's atmosphere. They keep going. And so we now have radio waves of human activity that have radiated out 120 light years.
Is that bad?
Well, depends. Are there hostile aliens within 120 light years?
Just a reminder that the Harpy eagle is probably the most dominant bird on planet Earth. They stand 3 feet tall with a 7-foot wingspan. That's Shaquille O'Neal sideways. They don't even hunt normal animals. They hunt spider monkeys, howler monkeys, sloths, and this is what they're hunting them with. 4-inch razor-sharp talons. That's larger than a polar bear's claws. Not to mention, their grip strength is twice as strong as the bite force of a pit bull. They could crush a human skull. Don't sleep on the Harpy eagle.
Now here I'm thinking that the bald eagle is nothing to mess with, but that right there is a pure monster.
This guy is risking his life by filming and sharing these images. He is in one of the most closed countries in the world, North Korea. Even the locals don't have phones or cameras, and there are strict rules for foreigners. All technology is confiscated at the border, and any hidden filming is strictly prohibited. However, this brave man managed to smuggle in a miniature camera and capture images that tourists are not allowed to see. In his footage, you can see the streets of Pyongyang. According to him, many things here look like a staged performance. The shops are empty, and there are only sellers inside, but no customers. There is almost no private transportation in the city center, and people mostly use bicycles or crowded buses that look like relics from the 1990s. There is also a subway system that continues to operate, as if frozen in time. And of course, it is a tradition for every visitor to bring flowers to the monument to you-know-who. These are just a few of the strange rules in this country.
This is an intuitive exercise. Behind this card, there's a shape and a color. With this exercise, I want you to trust however the information comes in for you. We're going to do a short breathing exercise along with a visual meditation. What I want you to do is close your eyes and take a deep breath in. And exhaling out. I want you to imagine a blank canvas in front of you. Alongside this canvas, there are some crayons. I want you to choose the crayon that is popping out the most to you and begin to draw the shape. Now stay here for a moment. You ready? Now open up your eyes. It is a purple triangle. Did you receive this by a knowing? Did you hear your answer? Did you see it in your mind? Let me know how you did.
I got a yellow triangle. The first thing that popped in my mind was that yield sign, the triangle. So that was close, kind of close. Let me know what you got. Well, you guys, hey, that is another one in the books, man. I appreciate you guys for stopping by it again and watching another one with me. Big shout out to the chat. Shout out to all the members. Smash that like button for me. Smash that subscribe button. And I will definitely catch you on the next one.